definitely a lot of like secrecy and like kind of mystery. They're very tight-lipped about everything. Even like where our hotel was. Like I didn't know where my hotel was until like a week, or not even a week before, like a couple days before. I was like what's the...
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Chocobo Radio episode number 28. I'm your host, Alpaca, and today we have an incredibly special guest joining us today. If you're a fan of Final Fantasy XIV, you probably heard his name echoed through the community with over 32,000 followers on Twitch. He's not just any streamer, he's a Twitch partner and a legendary raiding coach. Many creators have called him the most wholesome streamer in the 14 universe, and he's always spreading good vibes and expert advice. Recently, he was a contestant on OTK's Top Streamer, and let's be honest, he's quite simply the best llama on the internet. LlamaPod, welcome to the show.
Oh, we have a special guest today.
Oh, go ahead and introduce your cat to us.
Oh, this is Luca. I've got two cats, and yes, she likes whenever I'm streaming.
Yeah,
but thank you for having me, man. Thank you.
Of course. So
I can't say no to an alpaca.
Yeah,
alpacas are supposed to be much nicer, right?
These are worlds colliding. So, where I really want to start today is with the news, and I gotta ask: was there any Final Fantasy XIV news this week? I can't really put my finger on it, other than the freaking media tour. I gotta ask.
Yeah.
What was that like for you being there?
Well, man, surprise. Actually, since I took a break from the game for like 8 or 9 months, I didn't really think I had much of a shot. I was like, nah, there's no way. They're not going to invite me. Other people have been playing the game and sticking to it, and I don't know. A good place for 14, but I was talking with some friends. Mainly, I saw Zeno over my winter break, I guess, or we had a little vacation with some friends, and he kind of suggested that, hey, maybe the 14 a little bit sooner and kind of get the pre-hype going for Dawntrail. I'm like, all right. So I did that. So that was a combination of things with that, and then Arthur's another good buddy of mine. I'm sure you might know him. He just kind of asking if I had expressed any interest for the media tour, and I was like, well, no, not really. It's like I haven't bothered anyone. It's like, well, he said you should email them, because apparently, I guess I don't know if he knew, but it was getting kind of late. It was getting kind of close to like May, June. I'm like, okay. Right. So he said you should just try to email and see what's up. So I did. I was like, okay, why not? And sure enough, it landed me a spot. I guess the right things. Maybe there was a few creators that couldn't make it, or whatever the reason.
Sure.
I was able to find a spot, and holy crap, it was an awesome time. We spent extra days just to hang out for Zeno's birthday. Of course, that was the ruse that told everyone on the internet and on Twitch and stuff. We're all these creators are just hanging out for Zeno's birthday out in LA for no particular reason other than that.
Yeah.
Arthur came out.
Was it your first time in LA, or have you?
Yeah. Like, I guess the closest I've been was for BlizzCon, but no, I haven't. I didn't get to go into LA proper. So
I see.
I got to go to several like great spots for food. Like, holy crap! I feel like if I lived there a decade, I probably wouldn't get to eat at enough places.
It's pretty good.
It's a very sprawling, large city, and I'm definitely a foodie. So if there's good local food, I want to try it all.
Yeah. So I am curious. How do you prep for a media tour? Like, did you actually sit down, write down what kind of videos you wanted to make, or did you kind of just go in there and?
Yeah. So, since I had some experience with, since I was invited to the digital media tour, that was my real first taste of it.
Yeah.
And then of course I've talked to like people like Mr. Happy, that's like a Wednesday for him, right? So like he knows like the drill. But for me, since like I don't really have an editor and I'm not really as fast as like happy with people that could just like crank out 21 videos or more, like one for each job, and then I'm like, bro.
Yeah.
So my focus was, all right, I'll tackle the jobs that I know. So like people would expect me to have a video on Ninja, and Viper was definitely like up there. Like I got to do Viper, it's new. Plus it where you have the Ninja gear, and then Picto. I'm working on a Picto video.
Okay.
But then I did Warrior, Astro, and Bard. And I was actually not Bard. I was going to do Bard. I didn't get around to it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I was kind of surprised because like lots of people tuned into my my Astro video on YouTube. I guess I don't know. Maybe there wasn't a whole lot of coverage for it. But I was like, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So there, and just in case we have some time with Yoshi P, we prepared some questions, and between me, Arthur's, and Xena, we made sure we weren't going to repeat the same thing.
Yeah.
So, and then we met Whoops, and we all kind of talked about like what we're going to ask so we don't overlap.
Right.
And so we got to sneak in a few questions there. We didn't get to have the full like interview like some of the streamers, but we did get to ask him some stuff. Yeah. And there was a Q&A as well.
Was there a question that you wanted to ask but just didn't have the time?
Gosh, yeah. I mean, I have this whole wish list video about Dawntrail. I was like, I think, man, I snuck in the friends list, the party finder question also, like about the regional, having like a regional one, so like you could have primal, aether, crystal all together. And I got like the typical answers for that, but yeah, I guess the other should have been like, oh, I don't know, can I have a blue llama or alpaca named after me in the game? Can I have that, please? Or right?
Yeah.
Now there's a bunch out there, but yeah, I got the important ones.
Yeah. I was talking to a couple of people who were there, and they were saying that it kind of had this like first day of school vibe. Would you say, like, was that how you were feeling, or what were you actually feeling when you were there?
There's definitely a lot of like secrecy and like kind of mystery because we didn't really know what it was, and they were very tight-lipped about everything. Even like where our hotel was. Like I didn't know where my hotel was until like a week, or not even a week before, like a couple days before. I was like, where are we going? So
wow.
Like they said it was booked and everything. And I'm like, okay, I just show up and then you'll tell me where. But I had to ask. But no, the staff was awesome, and yeah, it's because we didn't really know who all was going to be there, other than me having private conversations with some friends. We can kind of guess who is going to be there from all the streamers that have to take some time off, or or they're not going to be streaming. People could piece it together who would be there, but I suppose it's kind of like a first day of school type thing, but you get to meet everyone, and it's like, all right, class, and then they kind of outline the day, and they had a nice presentation for us with Yoshi P, and then they had like a little meet and greet. We get our picture. We snuck in some questions with some food, of course. They had this whole thing catered like all day, so you can get snacks and stuff.
That's cool.
And then the, I guess, computer lab, if you want to call it that, but we couldn't take pictures of that. But it was just tables and rows of computers, like all set up, really nice PCs.
Yeah.
And then we could just log right in and start playing. And just get whatever footage we want.
Yeah, I can see that. So, I was watching a lot of these videos, and it seems like a lot of people were, at the time, they were having trouble with Pictomancer. So I kind of just want to know, like, what was your experience like with Pictomancer playing it for the first time?
Oh, I had fun with it. I was kind of like, I don't know about trouble. Maybe like some smarter people will probably come up with a proper rotation. There's probably some videos already out there. I think like Haps or Whoops covered it, where it's just like, here's how to do your rotation, kind of like you gotta like make your motif, and then you can spells and yeah, I kind of got the hang of it. It's like you have to have your landscape motif is gonna be like you need to have that prep for your burst, and then you're just kind of painting away. But it seemed very interesting to me. I like the whole or had like color theory as part of the job.
Yeah.
So you have like additive or subtractive colors, and it would create like different spells on your hotbar to use. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So like actual like art stuff.
Yeah.
I like it. I like playing it. I wouldn't mind giving that a try as a caster.
Yeah. Well, I mean, chat, if you haven't yet, go and check out the hundreds of thousands of videos that people have been posting just about the media tour itself. So yeah, it's looking, like there was a lot of doom and gloom for Endwalker, and I think Dawntrail is gonna be an interesting one in my opinion. But we'll see. In other news, we got the new benchmark. I'm just wondering, I know a lot of people were saying that the graphical update, the videos don't really do it justice. I just want to ask, like, how did you feel about the graphics update?
When I got to play, it looked great. I mean, everything looked awesome. Like when I was just playing through the weather effects, like the wetness, the textures, the character. Yeah, I can't wait for everyone to just like actually play the game like with those graphics. It looked more vibrant and just more detailed. So I think yeah. Other than just checking out the benchmark, yeah, when it's live and you're playing it day to day, I think people are gonna really appreciate the work into it.
Yeah. Okay. I do want to add. So let's talk a little bit about 14 itself. Can you tell us a story about how you got introduced into Final Fantasy 14? Why did you start playing it in the first place?
Okay.
Because I know you've been around for a while.
Oh yes. Stay a while. Listen, I've been playing Final Fantasy games for years, since I like to say the late 1900s. So it's like when I played the original, and like I'm definitely a bit. But I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy games, and this wasn't my first MMO for Final Fantasy. It was actually FF11. So if you ever played FF11, I played that for years. So I was on Asura. I played, I think, Rise of Zilart, and all the way through maybe... I think it was Ottergon where I switched to WoW, and then from WoW I went to 14 1.0. Played 1.0, and
really
I did. Yeah, my Balmung character has the tattoo and the cool. old Gubu mount.
Yeah.
Wow. And and that was an experience, which made me go. I'm like, wow, I think this game needs some work, because it was unplayable. It literally was unplayable. They had a stamina system, like how you might get in mobile games, where you can only do like a certain number of missions, and then you can't do anything. It was like that for an MMO. I'm like, bro, I want to just play the game. Right. I want to do my Lev quests and stuff, or I can't. Yeah. So it was rough, man. It was super rough.
Were you tracking the progress from like 1.0 to 2.0, or did you kind of just let it go and then 2.0 came out?
I can't remember the timeline, but I'm pretty sure I caught wind that they were going to upgrade it or remake it or something, and I'm like, well, that's interesting. I mean, I was like, it definitely needs it, and of course I was going to give it a shot once that happened. And of course, what we got was something I think incredible. I didn't get to see the whole, like, Dahlama dropping like live, but because I was like at work in the middle of the day, and, like when they did this,
right?
But I did. They had a live. Excuse me. They had like a live stream, so that you could see. And I did have a few friends that were actually on the servers when it happened, so that was a cool experience to like turn the servers off, because we've never really had. I don't know. Have we ever had that in another MMO before, where they they make like a story up of why the servers are shutting down. I think they just usually just turn the game off.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
oh well.
I'm sorry, but so you get a real unique perspective of one game effectively ending and then another beginning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, servers went down, and then they had like the big cinematic, and we're just like, what? And it kind of explains and we're born.
Yeah. So
really cool.
Talking about ARR, you know, it seems like one of the biggest questions that I think is still pretty prevalent right now is whether or not new players should have some sort of skip of ARR, or even like the whole Heidelin series. I'm just wondering, like, where do you fit into that conversation? Like, how do you feel about that?
About a skip or something?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Like, should new players always have to go through the 200-300 hour journey to get to freaking Dawntrail?
Different answers for this one.
Yeah.
But since I guess it depends on the player, right? I mean, I feel like if you don't enjoy a story, even though we all love it, we all love the story, we all know it's good.
Yeah.
Forks down. But if someone just wants to play for the raids,
yeah,
that's their experience. They can just skip, do the raids, and if they want to, after we try to, you know, if they're like a streamer or something, we can tell them, like, hey, you do the story, then maybe they can go back and do it. But yeah, I feel like if there's any chance you might like the story, you probably should. Yeah, and I think that the devs have always stood by, well, we want people to go through the story. We don't want to shorten it anymore.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that like sets up later expansions, so you should at least get a little bit more versed.
Yeah,
and provide some context of what the heck's going on. But me, I'm not gonna say I don't care story. I like the story, but I don't feel like I should be telling someone what to do. And if it's not content they want to do,
why force them?
I can't force them, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I agree with that. It's just, yeah, because, you know, Yoshi P has already said we're gonna get another 10 years of content. So I feel like at some point, that question is just going to keep coming up. And I heard a lot of people talking about that during like the media tour like interviews. So, you know, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you, if you were to, like, say, make a video, right, of LlamaPod's complaints with 14, I'm just wondering, like, what would be on the top of that list? Because for me, for example, I've always had two things that have always kind of irked me about the game. The first one is I think we need more voice acting, especially in like non-MSQ content, because there's a lot of non-MSQ content that has no voice acting whatsoever. And I think that is really it's really tough, because I mean, maybe this is just me, but I have always considered the voice cutscenes like the ones that you should absolutely always watch.
That's so funny. I was actually I'll go through some of the post Endwalker MSQ cutscenes, and I think I was kind of upsetting chat, because anytime there was a cutscene where it didn't have voice acting, I would just kind of like speed through or almost skip it. I'm like, and I even said, I was like, you know what? If it wasn't important enough, they would have voiced.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'll sit and watch the ones with voice acting.
Yeah. So so for me, voice acting, I think that's a big one, just because I have a small attention span, I guess, but I just like it. You know, I just want to go to like a merchant and have him talk back to me or something. I don't know. So I think more voice acting. And the second thing for me, my biggest complaint is with exploration. I feel like 14 really doesn't have any sort of overworld exploration. And I think coming off of playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, where you have like so much you can do in the overworld, there's like so many things that are connected even to the story, just like little mini games, such as little challenges. That is what I think this game really, really needs. You know, give me like an updated monster log, give me towers, give me more jump puzzles, give me like a freaking waterfall that has a cave where you could go in and find something. I don't know.
Get that. We might. I've definitely had discussions about this. We might actually get that. I mean, maybe with the whole competition thing, but I do think that we should have more of an incentive to go out in the open world rather than. Well, I mean, we're kind of guilty of that right now, sitting in limb settlements. I was gonna say, like,
yeah.
Well, but yeah. I mean, maybe fates can be like tuned a little bit, or maybe we can add something else. I mean, we kind of have like some treasure hunting things with the maps and stuff, but yeah, just I think more of a reason to
yeah
so definitely explore.
So what's like on the top of your list? What is like what frustrates you the most?
The friends list. It's always the friends list for me. It's the worst. The social UI and the friends list, and just like the spaghetti code behind it. Yeah, man, it you've used it, right? It's like you load it, and then you have to load all 200 names if you have 200 people on there, and anytime you delete someone, it like reloads.
Yeah.
We just need something that's a bit more modern, and like I even suggested like a bunch of different changes. I actually made a video on this, so I have a whole list. I have a whole wish list to go through, man. So, but that was definitely my number one. Number one, and then I think, yeah, that's just more like UI stuff. But game wise, I felt like maybe Party Finder, like having access to, like your region's like a central party finder. So if you're on North America, you could have Ether, Crystal, Dynamis, and then maybe throw in the Oceanic one, and you could just see all the listings, and then they wouldn't all have to flock to Aether. But of course, the way they have their like physical and setup and stuff, so I think it would be quite difficult for them to do that.
Yeah. Okay. So I know you are a big time raider, and I'm curious, if you could just pick three either trial, like extreme trial, savages, ultimates, like what do you think are three that pretty much every Final Fantasy 14 player should experience at some point?
I think E8S.
Okay.
That's a great one. T. I think those are probably my favorite raids.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So, Endwalker is now pretty much over, and I'm just curious, like, if we could just go real quick. I'm just gonna, say something, and I just want to get like your quick reaction to it. So, these are all like Endwalker, like new content from Endwalker. So first, Island Sanctuary. What does LlamaPod think of Island Sanctuary?
I'm glad that you said that, because I forgot that it existed.
Variant dungeons and
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, variant and Criterion dungeons.
I think they're super fun, and we all know they just need more incentives to do them and for repeat content.
Agreed.
With them. There's something there.
Crystalline conflict and PvP in general.
I think it's a step in the right direction. I think more people have participated in Crystalline, and I think it's a bit more hype. I don't really care for the PvP in 14, but maybe I'll give it a go if it keeps improving. But I'm glad to see that they are giving that some love.
And last but not least, Eureka Orthos Deep Dungeon.
Oh yeah, I would definitely love some more Deep Dungeon content, and other than that, just you're in general, like that side content.
Yeah,
I can't wait for more of that. But that Deep Dungeon, that's on my bucket list. I haven't done the solo dungeon crawl yet, but
it's tough.
My buddy Angelus Demonus, he's the master, so I'm gonna look at some guides and take a stab at it.
Yeah,
I mean it this time. I've been saying that for years.
We'll see, chat. We'll see. So I want to transition a little bit, talking about you being a content creator, and or I guess we'll talk real quick about FanFest Vegas, because That was my first fan fest that I ever went to, and that was like my first time actually seeing like Final Fantasy 14 celebrities in real life. So I kind of just want to know, like, what was it like for you being like a, you know, like a known member of the creator community of 14?
Yeah, man, it actually did feel like being a celebrity. It was you'd walk around just parts of Vegas, and we had so many people, so many Final Fantasy viewers all over the place that they would spot you just out in the wild, not just at FanFest, but like you'd be going to dinner and someone would be like, "Oh my God, it's LlamaPod!" Like that totally happened, and like my wife was with me, and she was like, "You're so famous," and I mean, even like strange in Vegas that had no clue what Final Fantasy was. They were like, "Who's that?" You know, like. So yeah, it was surreal because I didn't really think I'd be in this position, but yeah, it was very humbling too. I mean, every person that wanted to talk to me or meet me, I wanted to make sure I made time for them, just to let them know I appreciate them too, and just all the stories that I got from viewers was very heartwarming, because people would remember that I helped them clear a raid before I was really a big streamer at all. And they're like, "Yeah, you helped me in Alphascape or yeah, some old raid or something." I'm like, and then they're now doing like World Prog, or they cleared all the ultimates.
Yeah,
it's just really freaking cool, man.
Yeah, I can see that. Like even for me, just getting like a YouTube comment, you know, that in itself is such a strange experience, because it's because I've been watching YouTube pretty much like my entire life, and I think for me the comments that always really make me feel special, or that actually get to me, is when people tell me like, "Hey, I loved watching your content when I'm like on my lunch break, or when I'm, you know, on the bus heading home from work." Because like that's what I've always done. That's like what that's how I've always experienced YouTube. So just to see that comment itself, it's such a great feeling.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's awesome, man.
So, you know, you've hit 32K followers on Twitch. I'm just wondering, like, how does that feel for you personally?
Well, since I guess when I started playing the game, I was watching folks like Appy and Xeno, Spoofy, Miztech, like some of the OGs, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of where I am now, it's still a bit surreal. Like I got to meet Mr. Happy for the first time at the media tour.
Oh wow!
And I kind of forget. Of course, I got to hang out with Jesse Cox and like the Grinding Gears guys, and we had a dinner with like me, Jesse Cox, Haps, and Grinding Gears guys.
Yeah,
awesome guys, by the way, love them.
Yeah, they kind of came out of nowhere, in my opinion.
Yeah,
all of a sudden they're like one of the biggest 14 creators on YouTube.
Great podcast, yeah. They put out there.
Yeah,
but I was at this table and Jesse actually had this exact same question. It was just like, kind of, how'd you get your start, or how'd you arrive to this in your career, or like what brought you here, and just like what made you become a streamer? So it was. And I was just kind of looked around. I'm like, I didn't expect to be at a table with you guys, because I watched, you know, Jesse and Haps, and some of the other. It was just really freaking cool to see that and experience it.
Yeah, so
I still can't believe it sometimes.
Well, one of the things that I've kind of learned about YouTube is that, you know, subscriber count doesn't, you know, necessarily matter. When it comes to YouTube, a lot of it is just algorithm, a lot of it is just thumbnail and title. I'm just wondering, like, when it comes to Twitch, how important is followers? Because I know with Twitch, there's not a lot of discoverability with it.
I mean, this might upset people. I think it's a nice number to put out there, like on your card for like businesses and stuff. Some people look at that, but your main number on Twitch is going to be your concurrent viewership, your CCV. Followers, it's good just to get the number for what's it, affiliate, right?
Yeah.
And then, but after that, it doesn't necessarily matter. But it does look nice when you hit like different milestones. You can celebrate that.
Yeah.
Like, hey, we're at 10,000 or 5,000. I think you should definitely celebrate those milestones. But yeah. but at some point it just kind of fades away, and you're like, well, okay, I should focus on, well, I think you should focus on YouTube in addition to, because like you said, the discoverability on Twitch is it needs.
Yeah.
It's hard to be found unless, I mean, you have to be live a lot to be found, because when you're offline, Twitch really isn't doing any work for you. Then that's where YouTube shines.
Yeah. Was there a milestone like for you personally that was like the most like the biggest for you? Like, was it 5K? Was it 10K? Was it the 30K?
Yeah, I mean, we've had big celebrations and stuff. I think the biggest thing for me actually was not so much followers, but it was being able to raise charity for like the American Heart Association. So like,
yeah,
we raised, just my channel, it was like over $7,000 for the American Heart Association. And not fast forward, but like this past was it February, we did it again, but this time I could recruit other streamers, and we raised like over collectively now, I can't take all the credit, but we raised like over like $45,000. It was kind of nuts.
Wow, that's amazing.
I love the fact that I can do that. I celebrate those things a bit more, because it's like, shoot, like, look what I can do with my platform.
Yeah, that's true. I think every creator has like even YouTube, like every creator has like a video that it just goes viral. They get a bunch of subscribers, and that was kind of like a breakout moment. I'm just wondering, like, for you, looking back, was there ever like what do you think was like your breakout moment where you all of a sudden started getting a bunch of followers?
Yeah, that's easy. It was actually, so I was getting like a small following from doing my coaching parties a bit more. But then it was when I joined a T group, the Epic of Alexander Ultimate, while it was current, like that was like the new Ultimate. And I was with Xenosis Vex's reprog group. A group called
Fickle
Pickles? The Fickle Pickles.
Yeah.
Fickle Pickles. Yeah, my buddy Zesh and Galaxy and Fenra and them. And yeah, that kind of got me a lot of exposure. And Zeno, he was always super chill and this out. It was a really fun group, and he tossed me a host every now and then as well. Great guy. And yeah, I think that definitely helped. It was like the Zeno effect in 14. So and plus I had a very lighthearted moment of where it was my first to I think it was at phase 3, and I ran into the wall to stand next to the cat, because Zeno said stand next to the cat. So I did, outside the death wall. But I stood next to the cat. He wasn't even mad, because I did exactly what he said.
Yeah.
But okay, I'm going. And then I didn't even blink. I was just like going to that beeline to that cat. Stood next to that cat.
Yeah.
So that was a really funny moment. So that part helped too.
Yeah. So I know in the past you've said that you became a full-time content creator like during the pandemic, because everything kind of went to crap.
Sure.
And you gave yourself like 6 months to just try it out, just to like see how it goes. I'm just wondering, like, when you think back to that time, what was it like for your creativity? Like, were you nervous or scared?
Stressful. Oh,
yeah,
super stressful.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. My advice to anyone is don't. Well, I kind of got fired, but don't get fired. But your job to do content creation like right out of the gate. Like, yeah, it's nice having income, all right? Because you don't really earn much as a content creator, like when you're just starting off, unless you're like incredibly lucky.
Yeah.
Okay. So like, don't just quit, man. It's nice, but for me, it was definitely super stressful. I was preparing to go into a different line of work or to get some certifications and stuff. So, luckily, my wife was very supportive, and she still is. She remains, my PIC. But I was like, all right, we'll give it 6 months, and fortunately, I grew enough where I could start getting a little bit of income just to pay the bills. But definitely for probably a year or so, we were eating sandwiches and hot dogs and ramen and super tight budget because we went from one way of life to another because that was it was tough, man. So I'm grateful for like any time that like we can live well.
Yeah,
I try to give back when things are up and stuff. But with streaming, there's ups and downs. You're not always going to be on. It's you got to work, man. You gotta keep working at it.
Yeah. What has your, because like, so whenever I think of streamers, whenever I think of like YouTubers, it always seems like that type of job that's really, really super hard to get, and it kind of like something like being like a movie star, for example. So I'm just wondering, like, what has been your the reaction to like your whole like streaming career from the people around you, like the people who know you IRL, your friends, your family? Like, what has that been like?
Well, some weren't really supportive. Some were just kind of like, I mean, people probably get that a lot. Like when you go into streaming, it's like, why would you leave more stable line of work or something and do this? And some people say, oh, well, it's not a real job, but I mean, but once they started seeing like things that I guess they could relate to, like I have a sponsorship or partnership with like Panasonic or like these other big names, and it's like, oh, really? And like then it starts to click, like, yes, I can actually support myself, and I've got some opportunities where I'm working with either brands or the developer of the game, and I guess it kind of reassures them more. Because they're like, oh, I guess he's doing all right. Right. But yeah, I quite know like exactly what I do. I kind of, when I have to explain, especially like the older people and my family, they barely know what Twitch is, if anything. So I just say, it's something like YouTube. I stream because if they have kids, their kids are probably watching YouTubers.
Yeah.
So I try to just frame it like that.
Okay. I know in the past you've called yourself like an introvert. So I'm just wondering, like, how has that been difficult for you to just put yourself out there as like an introverted streamer?
Definitely easier when you're just like at your desk behind a monitor. Like, but I've had jobs where I had to give presentations to very large rooms. So, but it's definitely like a thing where you're gonna up and charge that battery, and then once you're out of there, you're like, ugh. You just close yourself off and like, don't talk to me. No, because it's like if I get a phone call, because I had to talk to people, like just handling I did like marketing for like probably hundreds or even thousands of small businesses,
right?
Or I helped them with it. So I had to explain how like Google and stuff worked and paid search to didn't know how to do it. So in a way, I was kind of doing coaching, which kind of prepped me for other things. But anytime I had to like pick up the phone, I'm just like, phone call, my worst nightmare. But then once I was on, I was like, and I have my marketing voice, right?
Yeah, you do have a great voice. You have a radio voice, I would say.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
So I am curious about. I do want to talk a little bit about the OTK stuff. So I am wondering. So what was it like? Seeing like Asmongold kind of being like on his radar, having him react to your videos and stuff, to actually meeting him or being on stream with him. Like, what was that like?
Well, that episode kind of sucked because like I had the worst video. I wish I could have done better.
Yeah.
But no, man, he was great. He actually knew me before that, so I've been on his radar before that quite a bit. And I tell you, he remembers people. Like he remembers people in his chat. Like he's got like a crazy good memory because like I was like I still am like a regular and like in his alt channel, like the Zach Roar. Of course, I would hang out when he was on Asmongold, that account. I'd hang out there too.
Yeah.
Like after I had my stroke, I was in his chat like maybe I forget like a month or maybe it was like a couple of weeks or month after. I was just kind of sitting around, just recovering, and I just said hello. I never like bring attention to myself. I just say hey, and I usually just lurk. But he saw me write something, and he made a point to like say, "Oh, hey, LlamaPod, like I heard about what was going on. Like that really sucks. Like I hope you're doing all right." And I told him like I was recovering and yada yada. And he was like, "Oh, that's a relief, man. I'm glad to hear you're all right." So he definitely knew who I was, and I thought that was very touching. But yeah, being on like with him and stuff, it's our paths have crossed again. I still think he's pretty good dude, man. He's pretty real.
Yeah.
He just kind of says whatever the hell he wants to, and just, yeah, it's just how it is. But
yeah,
unfortunately, that was my exit from the competition. But I feel like I handled taking that L really well, and I made some people laugh. Fortunately, I made some people laugh live, even though my video kind of flopped. I made them laugh with my reaction. So you got as a streamer, you got to be able to do the whole self-deprecation thing and just make fun of yourself.
Yeah. So here's what I'll say. Look, I try to put out either like a YouTube short or a TikTok video pretty much every day. Like that is my whole thing. So I can understand putting something out there and it not doing so well. That's just how I see it. But I am wondering, like, how did where did that idea come from, and what was the process like to make that AI video?
Oh, I hate this. Well, man, we were very limited in what we could make, and I actually had a much better idea, but we couldn't use. It got shut down because they said no violence, no weapons, no gore. I was in the process of a Baldur's Gate 3, where I actually set up 4 characters in a party that look like Asmongold, Tectone, Mizkif, and Immeru, and I was gonna send them on some like stupid adventures.
Cool.
And I had the characters look just like them. So unfortunately, since Baldur's Gate is also a big bloody mess, I couldn't use that. So I was like, well, shoot, man, like what's more topical? Like what should I use? And like what can I do? And you have like less than a week to make it, right? So they changed what that video was supposed to be like a day or two after. First it was like you have to make a diss track or something, right? Or you have to roast one of the people in OTK. I'm like, okay. And then they changed their mind. It's like, oh, it could just be anything, you just have to reference OTK. So I'm like, all right. I'm like, what about this idea? They're like, nope. I'm like, okay. So I had to figure out something else, and I just kind of looked around like, okay, well, Asmongold and his community, they've been talking about this AI stuff. They had this one guy made a whole like AI girlfriend thing. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then someone made an Asmon AI, like an actual one.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what happens if I kind of combine the two? And it just in my head it was funnier. Clearly it was.
So I was watching that cooking stream that you did. And towards like the end of it, you were just kind of hanging out, talking to chat, and at some point you said, like when this is like in regards to like toxic comments, you said, don't read too much into comments. There are some miserable people out there, and they're just going to be haters. So I'm just wondering, like, how do you usually deal with like these like toxic comments, like these like awful people on the internet? Like, does that ever get to you?
I mean, like on stream, no, I'll shut it down. Yeah, I think as you have a responsibility as a streamer to kind of police your chat, and to not let chat run wild with the toxicity. Because I mean, in some community, it runs rampant, and then if you green light certain conversations and you allow it, and then other people feel emboldened and they're just gonna do the same. So if you don't shut it down right away, then you're gonna have a difficult time controlling your chat, and then your mods follow suit, and just kind of your expectations. Everyone should be on the same page.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, if I get a hater, it's like, okay, like great, that means I have a hater, yay! Like it's I guess the more popular you get, the more you're gonna have. It's like a percentage, right, or something.
Yeah.
So I don't really care. I don't let that get to me. Of course, I've had like a crazy person recently, but like that was this whole other thing that's being handled and addressed, and it kind of took a. So it's we're handling that.
Yeah, when it comes to Twitter drama, it's always interesting. But yeah. So I know you have been, trying to branch out more into, making YouTube content, and I'm just wondering, like, what has that transition been like for you?
It's been tough, but very optimistic. So I think early on in my Twitch career, it was like the height of Shadowbringer, the height of like popularity, I'd say, for the game, because you had a whole bunch of the WoW people coming over too, and it was like Final Fantasy was like crazy good. I mean, it still is, right? But like it was, no one you can't deny like the Shadowbringers, like right before Endwalker, that was, I'd say, like peak Final Fantasy in terms for content creation. That was peak. And at the time I was just like, well, shoot, this is working, I'm just gonna keep streaming. Like, I'll just keep doing this because I know like this, like we're making some good money. We're getting lots of views. It's crazy. We're getting a lot of exposure. Like, things are working really well. So why would I waste time on YouTube? Even though in the back of my mind, I'm like, I should be doing YouTube content. But at the time, Twitch was working. So now it's like, it's kind of leveled off. And since I made a switch to doing more variety, like I think people should do some variety just to have that experience, but variety's tough, man. And then going into variety, and then also how much you stream to do YouTube, that's a lot of changes, a lot going on. So you have to like prep your community for that. But if you want to make it as a creator, you got to do YouTube. You have to have some other platform other than Twitch.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that, because I'm kind of like on the flip side, where I'm making these like content for YouTube. I'm making content for TikTok, but I have other people who are telling me, you gotta stream more. You gotta try to stream. You gotta try to do that. You gotta try to build yourself on Twitch, and it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think you should just stream with the purpose on Twitch. That's probably the best thing, because it's like, well, think about your stream each day, and like what content can you repurpose for, or maybe even just stream to make, like, with the goal of making a YouTube video or something.
Yeah, I could see that. So I know you had like a time where you didn't really care or didn't really want to stream 14, and that's why you went into variety. I'm just wondering, like, what do you think is the most difficult aspect of streaming 14?
Of 14, the most difficult, I well, I guess there's two things really. Number one, which is I think a lot of content creators have to deal with this, is not having a plan once you finish MSQ. This is Twitch, all right?
Yeah.
This is a Twitch thing. MSQ vampires, MSQ love it. We love, and I mean, I'm guilty of this. We love tuning in to see how people are going to react to pivotal parts of the story. But then if you don't have a plan for your content, if you were there just for MSQ and you built in your base from that, and your success was built off of MSQ, then you're going to have a very difficult time once you finish and you don't know what to do with the game. Because unfortunately, and people just they leave. They next person that's going through the story.
Yeah.
So you got to find your footing in the community. And then the other hard thing is, well, not playing 14 as a 14 creator, because people who watch 14 don't really watch anything else, man. They live and breathe 14, and as much as they say they're gonna be there when you do variety. I mean, there were a few. There's definitely like your core community will probably show up, but like I'd say the vast majority, you can probably expect like a 70% drop off.
Whoa, that's crazy.
If you go to variety. Yeah, it's massive. Like, because that's them, man. They know what they love. They love 14.
Yeah,
and that's what they want to watch.
Yeah,
play an MMORPG, man. It just sucks up all your life. You don't play other games. You're not interested in other games because you feel like you have a lot to do in an MMO.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. That's that's a lot to take in. So, you know, I think that's pretty much the end of this. I do want to ask, you know, like what do you have going on in the future? What kind of plans do you have for the LlamaPod YouTube channel?
Well, we are going to be prepared for Dawntrail. I have a raid team, so we will be raiding at a lighter schedule. We'll do evenings. No, I'm not doing World Prog. I think I'm done with the 16-hour days.
That's tough, dude.
It's mind-numbing. I mean, I love the idea of it, and I'm glad I got to like participate and get like a week 1 clear and stuff. Yeah, and it is exciting. It's super hype, but I feel more fun. Like I have more fun casting race coverage, and then just going at my own speed with some friends and just having fun. Yeah, with a good group where we're not like angry and people are getting tilted and whatnot. So yeah, that's my goal. It's content wise, do the new Savage tier, gear up, do the new Ultimate, with some friends and just have fun. And for YouTube, I would like to create more educational, informative guides. I have a series that I'm working on called the Hall of the Raider, which actually brought up to Yoshi P. I said, hey, you know, we have Hall of the Novice. Why don't we have something like Hall of the Raider where we can continue these because I don't think there's much in game that prepares players to go from normal content to even extreme or savage. Definitely savage. Yeah, that gap is huge.
There really isn't any mid-core
you have content. You have to go to external sources to learn your rotations, openers, and just fundamentals and rating. You don't even tank swaps are not taught in the game. They're not. There's the Asmon swap. People just die, and then okay, I guess I'm the tank now. Yeah, it's not taught. So I'm gonna have a bunch of videos where I cover, you know, tank, healer, and DPS. Role exercises, and like here's what you need to learn for these roles before you get into in-game rating. So.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is just like an to be fair, I'm not an MMO guy. This is the first MMO I've ever played, the only MMO I've ever played. But I don't know if this is just like an MMO thing, but I never understood why the game doesn't necessarily teach you how to play your own character like a job.
Well, maybe it's I don't think, because you see, if you've played like the remake and FF16 and stuff, they do have like the simulators and the kind of tutorials where it's like, here's how to play with these characters and stuff. Like, so I know that they can do it. And it just would be nice if like before you rolled a new job or something, that you could test it out at max level just to see if you like it. And then once you settle on it, I do think that I think that they should require something like Hall of the Novice and continued that type of content. If they actually had a structure like Hall of the Raider, Hall of the Savage Raider, like you had to clear these exercises before you unlock this content. Just to prove that you kind of have a basic understanding of things.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, because the other day I was talking to chat about how I would change combat, because we were talking about this whole idea of, is the game too hard, is the game too easy, does it need like to be harder, whenever that whole interview with Yoshi P came out. And I said, I while I do think the game should be harder, I don't think they want to lose a lot of like the normie casual players. So what I was saying is, yes, they should make it harder, but they should also implement like some sort of quote unquote easy mode, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, we have an easy mode. I think the story mode is the easy mode. I think we just need more options for hard versions.
So I get what you're saying.
Dungeons.
But I guess what we're like, in terms of easy mode, what I'm talking about is more geared towards like combat and actually playing your job, because when you hit level 90, you already have 30 buttons, 30 like 25 30 buttons.
Some jobs are quite quite full, and your hotbar's full.
So and when I brought in my fiance to, like, she's not a big gamer, but she wanted to play and dress up her cat girl or whatever, that was like the one thing that always sort of overwhelmed her, is just like, I have so many buttons, I don't necessarily know what to do with it. And what I was talking to chat, I was like, hey, we have games like Bayonetta, we have games like Monster Hunter, we have games like Devil May Cry, where they kind of just like put in all of your combos onto like either like one button or like a series of buttons. And I was just like wondering, like, they could probably implement something like that. Like, for example, let's say they get like an easy mode earring, right? You put on an earring, it locks your hotbar, it puts in like your skills, and then it kind of plays like Dancer, where you click a button, it highlights another one, you click it, and then it highlights another one, and then clicks it. So that is what I was thinking. Like, maybe that could work.
Going that way, man. If you play Viper, Viper's like that, man. Viper's exactly like that. You cannot screw up. Excuse me. You can't screw up your combos. It's like, what if you start a combo? It doesn't matter like how you what path you take to end it. It's not like a rigid combination there. It's like, you can start here, but then you can press buttons and they're lit up on your hotbar. It's dynamic. It's very fluid. It's if they do that with other jobs, okay, great. But I feel like there should be a good mix, just to cater to different people. Like maybe within a role you have like the easy one.
Oh, white mage.
Maybe more difficult. Yeah, like white mage. White mage would be the easy one, right? And then if you want to play like maybe a shield healer or Astro or something really busy, then you can. And then you can, or like warrior. Like I play the Unga Bunga warrior, and it's like, well, harder one that has like more weaves and stuff. Maybe you do Gunbreaker, Dark Knight, and what have you. Which I have played, so I'm not completely Unga Bunga. I've played with the tanks. But I do like my Unga Bunga because it is so simple. And I can just kind of space out while I go burr.
Well, LlamaPod, it was a pleasure. I just want to give you the last word. Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can find me at twitch.tv LlamaPod, or if on YouTube, my YouTube channel is just LlamaPod TV. Yeah, some punk had LlamaPod already, but that's all right. I'll be on later this evening. We'll be doing some Baldur's Gate 3, and I'll have something to react to. So lots of things, man. But I really do appreciate you having me, man. It's so nice meeting you.
Thank you so much. All right.